Hey guys, it's Bear with the Camping Camper. So our channel's evolving a little bit. I am going to have some camping trips coming up, but I told you before, it's going to be more kind of what I'm doing, what's going on, because my time's limited and I hadn't really had a long time to do anything. So this, my friends, is the best value Chinese mini excavator that I could find. I've been looking at these things for probably a year and a half. I've been really into it thanks to my buddy Greg down at Our Life in Trees. His channel will be linked down below, but he kind of got me addicted to this stuff because you start watching videos like this one, and the next thing you know, you're on Marketplace trying to find one, and you start keeping up with it. Let's start with, why would you want one of these things? So the issue is that equipment costs money, and that's just the way it is. And so I don't know if you've looked at a mini excavator or not, but used ones, $30,000. I don't have that kind of money laying around. Really, I'm not really want it. I want it for digging, but that wasn't the primary purpose. Well, if you want it and you don't want it for digging, then what do you want it for? Man, I got a bunch of attachments we're gonna go over in a minute. I got this hydraulic thumb here so I can pick stuff up. That's one of the bigger things with the old gimpy back. I want a way to be able to move stuff around. I use some winches and stuff like that, but this is going to bring a whole new world to me. So I got to take care of this back. I'm also losing weight, but that's a whole nother story. But let's get back on this Chinese mini excavator. So I was really going to get an auction machine. You can get those machines pretty cheap. Like when I was looking, it seemed like the going rate was like $4,000 for my auction machine. Now it's a new machine. It is, like I say, a Chinese import, and a lot of times you're going to have some bugs that you got to work out, especially on those auction machines. Now, the way that I've looked at this, and by looking at these things, I'm telling you, you start looking at them, people buy them from the auctions and they sell them online. You got to be careful. There's a lot of scammers and stuff out there too. I bought this from a great group of guys down in Texas, and we'll go over all that information in a minute too, as well as the price, which I just couldn't believe. So basically what happens is a lot of people go to auctions, they buy these machines. A lot of them are a brand called AGT. There's not a lot of difference in a lot of those cheaper machines. They have they usually have a little gas engine in them. This one does have a gas engine. It's a Briggs & Stratton. But the engine really only turns a hydraulic pump. So all in all, they function pretty well. One thing that they all have in common is, number one, they can be a little jerky if you're moving the controls real fast. And number two, they're slow. They're not real slow at like the digging stuff, but they're slow at the moving stuff. So you can definitely walk faster than most of these machines will drive. Let's put it that way. I'm going to get into some testing and stuff before long. I'm going to kind of show you using it around the house, using different things, some of the different attachments. But today we're just kind of going over the basic, what this is, how much it costs, where did I get it from. Now I was watching this channel, this video popped up, because once you start watching these videos and you start watching everybody, then somebody, especially with a larger YouTube following, posts a video on it, and then all of a sudden it's in your recommended videos. And that could be how you got here, even though my channel's not that big. But this guy posted this thing, and at the end of the video said that he got it for $5,500. Well, let me tell you, that's what I got this thing for. I got it from these guys down in Texas. It's called FC Construction Equipment Group. I got it from a guy named Luke. His number is going to be in the description down below. Now that $5,500, on their website it says it's a fall sale. I figured that this was too good to be true, because, not like scammer too good to be true, because he passed a lot of my issues there. So I almost did buy one that I thought was too good to be true from a scammer, and they wanted money up front and all that. Don't fall for that crap, okay? But this is a fall sale according to their website. Now, these machines, the rates are going to fluctuate. And one of those things that causes it to fluctuate a lot is all this tariff situation. So, you know, if that goes up, then the price is going to go up. And, you know, you just got to, when I heard $5,500 for this, I ran to my computer to like try to send them a message, call them, whatever. Got a hold of Luke, and he set me up with it. Hey guys, Future Barrett here. So I'm just telling you, I did reach out to Luke here. He said that they have had to adjust their prices. That sale for $5,500 was a fall sale. They had to adjust those a little bit already, and I can't really say that I blame them, because I felt that $5,500 was like a get up and run to the phone and call like right now. Now, the price that they said right now, currently, is $6,500. But for that $6,500, you also get a rake and an auger. So still a good price. I would still probably have purchased it for that. I will say, like I told you guys already, the delivery fee is not included if you need delivery, or you can go down to East Texas, pick it up. So, you know, I just wanted to update you guys on that. I do want to say that it was really nice dealing with Luke. He seemed to know all about these machines and was very knowledgeable. And I feel like he treated me right, and I really appreciate that. But if you do buy one, you need to let him know that Gimpy sent you, okay? Number one thing that made me know that he wasn't a scammer is because he was having a hard time. I got an auger and some other stuff. Apparently he was having a hard time locating the auger that they thought they had. And so he was like, don't pay that invoice yet, because we might have a few things to work out. Well, what scammer is going to tell you to not pay the invoice yet, right? So they're going to take your money first, just grab it out of there. So $5,500. Now, I did pay a delivery fee. He wasn't. They worked with me a lot on that. They offered me the option. He was going to have a hotshot driver bring it straight to my door, and we worked out, I think it was $700 for that. So because of that, he had to get some other, you know, things in the area, and he couldn't quite get all the orders lined up right now to make that work. But he called me yesterday and he said, hey, I've got to go to Tennessee today. Now the catch is I'll only be like in West Tennessee, but if you want to drive and come pick this thing up, I'll go ahead and meet you. So we did that. I did still pay them the delivery fee. We worked out something a little on the back end that we'll go over here in a minute that offset that a little bit. Because at first I was like, you know, I paid to have it delivered to my door, but now I'm driving 4 hours one way, 4.5. I kind of felt like, you know, is that fair? And I talked to my wife about it, and we discussed this, and I could have like asked for, you know, to lower that down a little bit or something. But number one, I still feel like I got a great deal on this. Number two, what we came up with was that, you know, it does kind of suck having to drive over there and get it, but we're gonna have it. We're gonna have it now. I could have just left the $700. I could have told him I couldn't come get it yesterday, which it just happened to work out with the way that my schedule is and stuff, that I'm in town. And so I could have waited. He would have eventually had enough orders over this way and had a hotshot driver bring it straight to this spot. But I think it worked out better for me. So the only thing that didn't work was the old truck, Hank the Tank. Hank the Tank's down for a minute. That's my fault, because you see all these videos online about the 6.7 Cummins, the grid heater bolt. I've got a BD diesel delete kit for that, and I was putting that in, and I lost a washer. It's an insulating washer, so it's not one you can just go to the store and buy. And so I was waiting on a part to come in from them, so the truck was down. So I had to take the 4Runner there. Now, for y'all that don't know, This 4Runner started misfiring a couple of months ago, and I've had some issues that I've been working out with that. But luckily I had some really good help with that, and I got everything back to going. I'll say during the whole misfiring thing, they say that, oh, it's usually the coil packs or the spark plug wires or the injectors. I thought, this thing's 25 years old, it deserves a refresh. So I went ahead and replaced all of the above. Now I used some Amazon injectors, and they were leaking. I don't know if it was the injector or if it was the O-ring got pinched or what, but that baby caught on fire under the hood. I'm talking 3-foot flames. Oh man, that was anxiety producing. Luckily it didn't hurt much of anything, but after I got it back together, couldn't get it to quite run right, because the only issue that it had, one of the injector plugs was melted. I changed that out, and the wiring harness on it was just charred on the outside. But I still couldn't get it to run quite right. So it ended up being the idle control sensor. It was melted a little bit that you couldn't tell from the angle that it was when he was trying to plug it in, but it wouldn't click in. So that was one clue there. And then the idle air control valve was bad, because after I got that fixed and the code went away, it was still idling high, which it always has. But my buddy Chandler helped me with that, and we got that all fixed up. I got a new idle air control valve, and it's working good. And my daughter's been driving it to school and back, but I'll tell you, I wasn't quite sure about this whole let's put a trailer on it, drive it 9 hours in one day, and put an excavator on the back. Now, for those of you that say that's way too much weight for this, number one, it's too much for the trailer right now because the deck boards are rotted, and I have an issue with the tailgate that we'll go over in a minute when I go over unloading this thing. But that 4Runner is rated to tow 5,000 pounds, and that excavator, one reason that I like it is that it's only a 1-ton machine, so it's about 2,000 pounds. So as long as you don't have something crazy like 1,500, 2,500 pound axle, because we got all this other stuff, then you got 3,500 pound axle, and you can tow it on a single axle trailer. And it's not that much for most cars that are designed to pull some weight. So that all worked great. The only issue that we had all the way home was the trailer, and it's just, I think this trailer's always done that. Could be the way that it was loaded too, but if you went over about 65, it'd start swaying a little bit and you'd have to slow down. So, which 65 was kind of where I was aiming to drive that thing anyway, being the setup that we have. And I was also glad that I recently replaced the brakes on that, but we went over Mont Eagle in Tennessee, everything was fine. All right, so let's get in to this bad mamma jamma here. All right, so let's go over these controls. Now these are like pilot controls, but if I understand right, they're not actually pilot controls because they're not like electronically driven. It's just basically like you have the stick up here. And that's one of the differences on a lot of these machines. Sometimes they're just mounted here, and sometimes they're mounted back by the seat. So when you turn this left one left and right, that turns the machine on the turret. So the tracks stay in the same place and the whole machine turns. There's a button on top of here that you can just feel. And when you push that in and turn it left and right, that's one of those things that the cheaper machines don't do. And that actually has a swing boom. So this boom by itself will turn left and right. Well, why do you want to do that? Well, that's one of those situations. Apparently, if you're like trying to dig right up against the foundation of a house or something like that, that can come in really handy, because if you can't change that orientation of the boom, then you can't get as close that way. And this left control, if you move it forward and backward, that makes the dipper arm move. And the dipper arm is the arm that's on the very end that goes from the top down to the bucket. Let's go over the other side. All right, so the control over here, if you move it backward or forward, raises and lowers the whole boom. And you probably just saw that move, but I'll do it again. If I push it forward, it'll lower that down and it'll bleed those hydraulics off till it touches the ground. If you do it right and left, when you go right and left, what it does is it does the curl of the bucket. And then this button on the top here is the horn, which probably won't work while it's turned off. No, but if I turn the key on, it actually has a decently loud horn. Also has a hydraulic cooler, which you can hear run when you turn the key on, which a lot of those cheaper machines also don't have. All right, horn. Okay, so turn it off. And when you turn this off, while I'm thinking about it, there's a relay in there, so there's like a 5-second delay before it actually turns off. All right, so back with the controls. We'll go up here to this one first. Now this is going to raise and lower your blade on the front there, okay? But there's a button here, and if you push this, then it does the tracks, because this has expandable tracks. So if you have that button switched, then it causes this sticker, which I'll show you a close-up of, to change function of the machine, and it goes from the blade to the tracks. And so you have to lower down the blade, because you don't want to like put all the side load on the tracks. So you lower down the blade to lift this end of the machine off the ground, and then you swing it around. You put the bucket on this end and you lift it up with the bucket. That way the tracks are suspended. And when the tracks are suspended, then you move this. I don't remember which way it is, but upward and down makes those tracks go in and out. And obviously that's made because the wider the track, the smaller gates and stuff like that you can fit in. So it's real good for like trenching purposes if you're going to use it for work. The the dozer blade itself is also adjustable, which we'll go over in a minute. But right now it's set at the smaller, thinner setting. And then there's these wings on the sides, and those wings actually fold out where it's straight, and that way it goes the same width as these tracks, which are now on their widest position, but the blade's not set like that. While we're over here on this side, we'll go ahead and finish this up. So you got your key down here, which is in kind of a weird spot for me. And then you got a foot pedal down there, and this foot pedal flips open. The foot pedals are the only problem that I have an issue with, being as big as I am, because my leg's really too big to fit right there. So I think this is for another auxiliary line that goes up there, because I don't think it actually is hooked up to anything right now. But the one on the other side, which is the same exact foot pedal, it operates the thumb back and forth. There is a little storage thing here in the back of the seat. Let's finish the controls, then we'll do the engine bay and all that stuff. So over here is the throttle. And this thing is throttling a little high. Luke told me I might want to cut that down a little bit. I hadn't had a chance yet. I got to go over this thing and grease it real good before we do a whole lot of work too. But this is the throttle, and these things run really good at lower throttle. So you just start it and lower that back down. And then I think that's, oh, you might want to know how it moves, huh? So the two center sticks here, these are for the tracks. The left one's for the left track, right one's for the right track. If it's smooth, level ground, I've noticed you can use both hands just to push them forward and backward. Like I say, it doesn't move very fast. It can be a little bit tippy, so you got to be careful with it, especially if you're off to the side, then you shouldn't be really moving it forward and backward, but that's another point. So that's all the controls. You do have these functions here. You've got a light. The light is on the boom out there. There's also a light that comes with it that mounts here. This is like a flashing, like emergency light. A lot of people just cut the pigtail off and wire in like a LED work light up here because they don't really want the flashing light. The center switch locks the hydraulics. So what this does, people, especially big people like me, you can't get out of this thing without hitting this. And so you put that down in the lock position, you can leave it running. If you hit this after that, I'll show you in a minute. But basically it can move, it can bleed the hydraulics, but that's all that it'll do. So it'll like settle down, but it won't like jerk and move, and like if you hit it to like turn the machine, it won't do that. So it's a lot safer to get in and out of. And then you have the button, which we talked about on the right, which goes from your blade to your track adjustment. Then there's a battery meter here, and then an hour meter. The hour meter on some of these machines, they say if you leave the battery turned on, then that'll just keep that hour meter running because it doesn't actually run by the time of the engine. This one appears to be a little better. There is an on-off battery cutoff under here, but I don't think that it's like it's not on right now. So that just shows you that it doesn't continue to count. So how do you put gas in this? Well, that's something that I learned a while ago, because I was thinking that this had a cap here for some reason. I watched a bunch of different videos on these, so I know a lot about it, but I don't know everything. The storage compartment here, there's a key for that. Let's get this plastic out of our way. In order to put gas in this, you do have to lift the seat forward. This seat is rather adjustable. Like I say, I fit in there very good, but to put the gas can, I had to scoot it up, sorry about that. To fill it with gas, you got to remove these two bolts here that has a washer on it. The choke's also right here. We forgot to go over that with the function controls. So this seat doesn't go that far forward. I wonder if it does if you put the seat back after. Yeah, there you go. I couldn't do that a while ago. So you need it to be a little forward to get those bolts out, but after you do that, you can scoot it forward and that'll get up out of your way. So your gas can, or your fuel tank's right here where you add gas in, and then your battery shutoff's right here. Another thing that varies with these machines, some of them you gotta take bolts and stuff off to get in this back door. This one just has a hinge and a latch on there, and so that opens this up. So this apparently is a extra tank where your hydraulics can bleed to, but it should stay pretty empty. And then you got your Briggs & Stratton engine here, and there's a cutoff, the battery cutoff, which you can reach from here, but it's also right there. I've not delved into the engine compartment a whole lot because I just got this thing unloaded off the trailer, which is a whole nother issue that we'll get into in a minute, because I made a video about that and all the catastrophe. All right, so what's some other reasons that I chose this machine and felt like it was a great deal for the money? Well, number one, you had those functions we talked about, which was not standard on the cheaper machines. You got the swing boom, you got the expandable tracks. Well, the drive motors also don't stick out really far, so that's good. Sometimes those can stick out and get caught on things. All of the lines, even down there at the bottom, you can tell that they're wrapped. They have like a spring around them down there. But even up through, one other thing is like the cheaper machines, they just kind of, attach to the boom here. Well, this one, all the lines go through the center of the boom and come out. They're all wrapped really nicely, so that's going to cause less chafing on most of these holes. There's also rubber grommets that protect them. Their cylinders are on the top side here, so sometimes they'll be on the inside and you're more likely to injure it whenever you're digging and stuff like that. So these are on the top side, and there's this protective plate. Now this protective plate's not the strongest in the world if you hit it with like hydraulic force, but it's some decent protection, I think. There's also a quick attach that comes standard on this machine, and that's down there attached to the bucket. I hadn't changed any of the buckets or anything yet. The hydraulic thumb's also standard, and it's got a diverter valve there with some quick connects. There's these hoses here that don't have the quick connects. I think that's what that extra foot pedal operates, but I'm still not sure what you would actually use it for, because you have the quick attach that I'm going to use for my breaker and my auger. So got that on there. And then the diverter valve, you just put a wrench on there and turn it, and it just basically takes the flow that would go to that thumb and sends it to the auger or the breaker or whatever you got on there. All right, guys, so in closing, basically all I want to say is for the money that I got in this thing, I'm more than happy with it so far. I can't wait to, mess with it and actually do some work with it. I need to lubricate it real well. It's got like 1,000 grease fittings all over there. Probably going to change them out to the normal style Zerks because it's got the needle point ones in there now. But all in all, so far I'm really happy with this. It can be a little jerky if you got your RPMs up and you're not finagling the controls a little bit. Like I say, the biggest issue that I have, just because of my size, is controlling that thumb with this, which I can do, but it takes a little bit more work. I will say that down here, this does get hot. I can see in the summertime how it can be an issue. I'm glad that it has the hydraulic cooler. Some people do some mods on these to try to cool it down a little bit, like adding the muffler, like coming all the way out, stuff like that. We'll see, we'll keep an eye on it. Basically, plan right now is to get all this attachments and stuff unloaded off the trailer, get this baby put away so I can drive to Orlando and go to work, since I can't count on this whole airline thing right now. The government shutdown's ended, but I don't trust it yet, and it's a holiday week pretty much. So I'm trying to get this guy out to you guys pretty soon. I'm gonna try to this week, but I sure am glad that I got my new baby here. So we'll see you around.